Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing today on this Friday?
Happy Friday. Looking forward to the games on the weekend. Disappointed about last night's results.
I'm hoping to see. I'm taking a new approach with this week. I said it on Tuesday. There's too much parity. I'm a little confused about some of the teams and their performances. Although I hinted at some things, like on last Friday, I said maybe I should choose Raiders plus 8.5 because that seems like a massive spread. I'm taking a look at that because it happened, I think, a couple of times so far. I'm looking at some big spreads, and there's a potential opportunity for there to be some coverages on the other side, the plus side of those point spreads. But we do have a game to get to, which is Thursday Night Football between the New York Jets and the New England Patriots. The Jets get their first primetime victory against the Patriots since 2008. It's been a very, very long time. They were 0-7 up to this point, but now they finally get, with Rodgers having 299 total yards and 2 touchdowns. We saw a little bit of the youthful Aaron Rodgers. Take a listen to what he said in the post-game about how he was feeling after coming home and getting that precious victory at MetLife Stadium.
So we were efficient offensively, good on third down, spread the ball around a lot, ran the ball pretty well, pass protected pretty well. I moved out the spot a few times, halfway decent, so a lot of good things to build on from this game.
How did it feel for you to get out on a move like that?
Yeah, it felt great. I was, feeling real good out there. I felt good pregame, and, I've been progressing. I said to you guys after week 1, it's going to be a process of continuing to extend plays once I feel more comfortable, and this was kind of the first step in playing like I know I'm capable of playing. I felt like I was, myself.
So I want to know, what was your takeaway from Thursday night's game between the Patriots and the Jets?
No, the Jets were in control the whole game, basically. Aaron Rodgers in total control. His third game in 11 days. He's getting better every game. He scrambled several times, made a bunch of off-balance throws. He picked the Patriots apart. He was surgical in the way he approached the game. I was very impressed with his performance. He said on you just played it. I told you guys after week 1 that it's going to be a process, and I'll continue to extend plays once I feel more comfortable. This was the kind of a first step in playing like I know I'm capable of playing. I felt like I was, myself. He was 27 to 35, 281 yards, 2 TDs. Ended an 8-game losing streak against the Patriots. That was important for them at home. And Salah said Rodgers' arm is like he's 30 years old, and his mind is still operating at a very high level. On the Patriots side, on the other hand, Brissett sacked 5 times, went 12 of 18 for 98 yards. Left of the game with 4:24 left in regulation. Drake May came in, went 4 of 8, 22 yards. He got sacked twice. So they had 7 sacks against the Patriots' offensive line. Looking an awful lot like last year, Nate. I got to tell you, Mayo said he's not sure who next week's starter will be. I don't know, he said. We talk every single week that you're competing for your job. We'll get together as a coaching staff and see where it goes. I'd be surprised they let Drake May start next week, given how poor the offensive line is and what a sieve it is. The Jets won for the first time in 6 games on Thursday night. Morgan Moses hurt his knee. That could be a big thing. Their offensive line looked very good. They protected Aaron Rodgers well. When he had to go outside the pocket, he found a way to scramble. He looked like the old Aaron Rodgers to me. Their defense looked very good. The defensive line dominated the Patriots' offensive line, which I can't believe is so poor after they knew last year that it was a mess and they had to do something about it. They look just like they did last year right now. The Pats' defense also, I was very surprised how poorly they played. Aaron Rodgers ate them alive. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the pass. The Patriots, on the other hand, they had no running game at all, really. They didn't even try. They only ran the ball 5 times in the first half. What were they thinking? Stevenson fumbled the ball. He may have a problem there, Nate, fumbling the ball. He's done that in successive times now as a Patriot, and I worry about that a little bit now. The Jets had 400 yards total offense, and the Pats 139. Come on, that's pitiful. The Jets 27 first downs, the Patriots 11. The Pats got to play San Francisco next week. What do you think that's going to be like? The Denver's at the Jets. Should be another win for them.
I agree. By the way, you bring up the 139 or less, whatever the total yards was. That's the 18th time in the history of the Patriots that they failed to get to 140 yards. The last time they did it, Week 18 last season against the Jets. Trevor Siemian was the quarterback of the Jets at that point. Also, Belichick's goodbye game as the head coach of the New York Jets. I criticized Aaron Rodgers on Tuesday because he looked like a 40-year-old quarterback. Then he plays the New England Patriots at MetLife Stadium, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this might be something. Now, the big question mark is whether or not this actually matters, because it could just be the case that the Patriots are actually that bad, which I think is a high likelihood, because just look at the roster. Jacoby Brissett pressured on over 50% of his dropbacks. You put Drake May out there. And yes, he's a rookie. He had, some occasional, he steps up in the pocket, not aware of what's around him, get absolutely obliterated once he steps up. He's not Cam Newton. And in my opinion, you say he kind of looks like Tom Brady when he's out there. I actually think he kind of is a little bit small. He looks a little bit small in the uniform. Maybe hit the weight room a little bit, build up a little bit of muscle, because it's weird. I see quarterbacks, they're built pretty well. Drake May's built a little bit smaller, although I still think he's like 6'4", 6'5", 220, 240, something like that. But it might be the uniform. He looks a little bit small. But yeah, I'm not taking too much into the Jets' performance, because it's crazy to believe. The Jets, this was the Jets team that I think a lot of people, and I think especially Jets fans, were hoping to see the first time when Rodgers first got there. Then 4 plays happened, he went down for the rest of the season, and then this year, I think there was a little bit more hype with also some reasonable caution saying, well, he's coming off an Achilles injury. And it kind of looked like that. And then he goes up to the Patriots, who don't have a great offense. Their offensive line is abysmal. Wide receivers can't separate. And it's what we expect. The Jets absolutely took care of them. There's a reason why, the point spread was what it was. Although you could argue that Jets was 11 days, 3 games, not beneficial. So I think when it comes down to it, I'm not taking much in the Jets side of this, because this is what should have happened. The Jets are a better team, have a better offensive line, have better weapons, have a better running back, have a better defensive front, have a better secondary. They have all the things that are better than the Patriots. Now, head coach, I think as it currently stands, Robert Saleh is a better head coach than Gerard Mayo. So I think when it comes to the Patriots, though, it's extremely low expectations. They had the lowest over-under prediction, according to Vegas, at 4.5. And then all of a sudden, they upset the Bengals, and everyone's like, whoa, are the Patriots frisky? Could they make some noise? And then it was a 3.5-point spread against Seattle. Seattle took care of them late. And then it's still, Patriots are a little bit frisky maybe. Go up against the Jets, and it's like, no, this team is legitimately bad. I think it's just a trend of the Bengals not to do so well very early on in the season. But Rodgers was very, very good. On the run, he had a scramble early on, 6-yard gain. It's like, okay, Rodgers can move a little bit. It's good to see this, rolling out to his right, making incredibly accurate passes on the run. That was actually very, very impressive to watch. But it's Aaron Rodgers, though, which we've seen him throughout his entire career. He has probably the best arm in the NFL. As Josh Allen said earlier today, he's the greatest thrower in NFL history. So I think when it comes down to it, Rodgers will be Aaron Rodgers. He has the help he needs from a defense. He has the help of an offensive line. And if he's having an off game, he has Breece Hall and all of a sudden Braylon Allen stepping up when he needs to. And he could also just hand it off or dish it to him, because he's what? He's like 240 pounds of just pure masculine force running straight at you. But the Patriots' defense was lackluster, getting killed in the short game, getting killed in the intermediate game. If they were playing too high or the shell coverage, Rodgers would just dish it off to Tyler Conklin, who had a great game, yesterday. So I think, albeit I'm satisfied with the way the Jets played. I had them winning the AFC East, because I think that if this is the Jets team moving forward, this is a team that can win the AFC East, and the Patriots are what we should have expected. Just a bad team. A poorly coached, bad offense, lackluster weapons, with a hint of Ramondre Stevenson here and there. But I think, I agree with you. What's Alex Van Pelt doing running it that few times when that is we talked about it on Tuesday. The Patriots have an identity. run the football.
Yeah.
And what, you said they ran it 5 times in the first half?
5 times in the first half. I don't understand it. I mean, that's their identity. They've been successful with it. They keep the defense off the field, get them rest a little bit, keep Aaron Rodgers on the bench. As it was, look at the yards, 400 for the Jets, only 139 for the Patriots. That's embarrassing. You look at the after three games now, the Jets 2-1. They've scored 67 points, given up 52. I mean, this game they won 24-3. So actually, their offense not that productive in the first 2 games, and their defense wasn't that good either. They really stepped up in this game, but maybe it's just because the Patriots aren't very good. I mean, the Patriots, on the other hand, only scored 39 points so far this season, giving up 57. Before this game last night, their defense looked like one of the better ones in the NFL. I'm not so sure why was it so poor. I guess it was mostly Aaron Rodgers. They just didn't have an answer for him. They didn't have the right game plan to slow them down. And one thing I'm seeing about the Patriots' defense is their defensive line. They don't get any pressure on the quarterback. The last 3 weeks, particularly last week against Seattle, but Geno Smith stood back there. He had over 300 yards passing. Rodgers had 281. Come on, you got to get more pressure on the quarterback.
Well, I'd also say you're talking about the defense not getting pressure. What about the offensive line, or how Jacoby Brissett checking a blitz? I mean, you had 7 guys on the defensive line for the Jets, and Jacoby Brissett just looked at it, said hike, and the play ensued. Meanwhile, Jacoby Brissett was getting pressured on, I think, 55% of his dropbacks. Never checked the blitz, never changed his offensive scheme. There was none of that. It was just whatever the play call is what the play call was, and they ran with it.
Yeah.
The Jets literally put people on the line, and you know, because it's Prime Video, if you do the next gen stats and they put a red bubble underneath potential blitzers, every time they did that, a Jet was coming straight for Brissett's head. So whatever technology they're using, the AWS, the next gen stat thing, it was working because every time that red bubble appeared, a Jet was coming right for Brissett. And there was no check-in, there was no audibling, there was no changing of the play, there was no added protection, bring in a tight end or have Ramondre Stevenson or Antonio Gibson be there to pass block. No, it was just the default base call and just run with it and see what happens. Brissett doesn't move the ball down the field that well. You can't put May in there. I want to put May in there because he'll at least push the ball down the field, but that offensive line is going to get him killed.
Yeah.
It's the same problem. Yes, Polk looks good. Who knows? And also, the snap counts, they're all over the place. Now, Kendrick Bourne's coming back in a couple weeks, maybe. He'll just screw it up even more because they're still figuring out what works. When a team is this bad, nothing works generally. The defense had its moments against teams that aren't great. Like the Bengals early are not a good football team. That's just what happens. Yes, they have a lot of talent. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, defensive fronts, Trey Hendrickson, Zach Taylor, we somewhat respect because he has Joe Burrow as his quarterback. But the first 2 weeks, they've one win since Zach Taylor was the head coach. So I think that's just what you have to expect when it comes to the Bengals. They're not going to be good early in the season. So, I mean, when it comes to the Jets, this is the Jets team that I think a lot of people were expecting to see. This Patriots team, a lot of people thought after week 1, it's like, oh, could they be something? And then this is like the brick wall of a reality check. It's like, no, this team is bad. If you have a competent team that has, it doesn't even need to be a stacked team, a competent team, the Patriots are going to get torched.
Yeah.
Because the offensive line is garbage.
You know, they did play well the first 2 weeks. They were in both games. They won the first one. They should have won the second one. The blocked field goal there that prevented them from going up by 6, and with very little time left in the game against Seattle, they have to. I'm surprised how poorly their defense played last night. I thought they would be better than that. Their defensive backs just leaving guys wide open. I was surprised by it. The linebackers not blitzing enough. I think
a lot of missed tackles too.
Yeah, and too many penalties too. The penalty on Tavai, the personal foul.
Yeah.
And the second drive of the game that really got the Jets going, and they went down and scored on that drive. So, yeah, a lot to fix. And Gerard Mayo after the game, he said, "You know what? We played terrible, and we have a lot to fix. We got a lot to work on. We're not satisfied with the way the game went at all, in any phase of the game. So, you know, we'll have to see what happens next. But, boy, going up against San Francisco next week, I don't think that's going to be pretty.
Well, we'll see. There's a lot of injuries when it comes to San Francisco side. But let's get into our next topic here, which is the Baltimore Ravens and the Dallas Cowboys. Now, both these teams are coming off pretty crushing losses, with the Ravens coming off a 26-23 loss to the Las Vegas Raiders, while the Cowboys, we talked about it last week, was it Tuesday, got smothered by the New Orleans Saints, was it 44-19? Absolutely destruction on the side of the New Orleans Saints. And then the Raiders, I mean, the pressure on Lamar Jackson, my God. The offensive line couldn't hold up in any sense of the word of a good offensive line. But I think overall, what do you think? Oh, the Ravens are 0-2, first time since 2015, while the Cowboys are 1-1. The division seems frisky, but we'll see. Washington needs a better defense. The Giants, they just won a game right now, so the Giants and Cowboys are tied. But I don't know, what team do you think needs this win more, the Dallas Cowboys or the Baltimore Ravens?
I think the Ravens need it more. They're 0-2, right? They can't go 0-3. I mean, they need to have the home field. They need to have that bye. They got it last year, and they won a playoff game as a result of it, and they played the Chiefs very, very tough. They lost 17-10. They beat themselves, actually, with miscues late in the game in the red zone. So they have to have that home field advantage. They have to have that bye. And starting out 0-2 makes it look like they may not get it. It's going to be very hard to do. If they go 0-3, there's no way they would get it, and there's a chance then, will they make the playoffs? That'll be a question mark, too. So, to me, this is a bigger game for the Ravens than it is for the Cowboys. But I've been looking at some of the pregame discussion here and what the Cowboys are saying. There's a warning from Dak Prescott to the players. He said, we just got to go out there and play our best. It's week 3. It's about a process. We can't get overwhelmed by what people are writing about us. It's simply a process that we've got to focus on getting better each and every day with the right attitude, that we come in here, understand that we're trying to put the best versions of ourselves out on the field every Sunday, regardless of what happened last Sunday. It's the NFL. That was his message to the players. And then Jerry Jones, there's been a lot of discussion here about the running backs, saying that they haven't got a running game at all and that they need to go out and get somebody. Jerry Jones's comment was, running back is not on our radar screen as far as an area of interest. I must tell you that this is a little bit of a first for me, because I've never seen such made of our position and what we're doing at that position. Running back this year, not having done this or that, having done that at running back. We've got a pretty good contemporary of our competition, Derrick Henry, this week, and Zeke Elliott. Both of these guys came out of at the same time. I'm pleased with what Zeke is doing. Well, he may be pleased, but he did sign Dalvin Cook to the practice squad, so maybe we'll see him get out on the field. And Dak Prescott just got his $240 million contract. Well, let's see where he's ranked on quarterback ranking right now after 2 weeks. Dak Prescott, number 22, with a 43.5 QBR rating. Hey, that ain't $60 million a year quarterback performance, that's for sure. And he knows. He said he admitted there's no more excuses. He's got to deliver a Super Bowl now with the contract that he's got. It's a reality check now for them, given the way they played against the Saints. Look at that. They were at home. I mean, was it the last couple of years at home? They're hard to beat. They rarely lose a game at home, and they got wiped out. And that's a question for Mike Zimmer now, as their defensive coordinator. I mean, they had a very good game the first game against the Browns. Deshaun Watson looked terrible. They had a lot of pressure on him. They couldn't do anything against Derek Carr. Where was Mike Zimmer? Where was Micah Parsons? What happened to the defense that was so suffocating on week 1? It was a sieve on game 2. Is this going to be a repeat performance, or are they going to go back to the way they played in game 1? I think they better go back to the way they played in game 1, or people are going to start questioning whether Zimmer is the right coach for their defense. Are the Cowboys looking for a new running back? We'll see. I think if the continued performance is poor from Zeke and the rest of those guys who are no names, then I'm sure Dalvin Cook will get a look. And if he can't do it, Jerry Jones will probably be out there looking for a trade. I think on the other side, the Ravens, they dropped an easy matchup against the Raiders. How could they lose to the Raiders? I don't get it. I mean, the Raiders kind of controlled it.
I got an answer.
Well, we'll hear your answer in a second. The Ravens need to cut down on the penalties. That's too much. They have way too many penalties. They got to limit CD Lamb because that's really the only offensive weapon they have beside Dak Prescott. The Ravens struggle against the elite pass rusher. Chris Jones raised a lot of problems for them, and so did Max Crosby.
There's your answer.
Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons will probably try to do the same. Will he be able to? We'll wait and see.
Well, there's your answer. They can't stop a good pass rush. Chris Jones, Micah Parsons, Christian Wilkins against a right guard that is no good, and a right tackle that's done an okay job, but overall is extremely young. He's a rookie, so obviously you expect him to at least struggle a little bit when it comes to a very, very good pass rush that they faced in 2 straight games. The offensive side the defensive side of the Ravens is a massive question mark because I think the loss of Patrick Queen is showing itself, especially in the coverage. It's definitely the Ravens here. The Ravens definitely need to win this game because in the history of the Baltimore Ravens, like it says in the lower third, this is the first time since 2015 they're 0-2. They've never made the playoffs going 0-2. And we entered even in week 1 saying that if you lost in the playoffs to the previous season and against the team and you played them in week 1 in your opening game, you do not make the playoffs. You have a 500 or below record. And I think that is another opportunity. The Ravens will be another team added to that list because it's looking like that. Right guard can't hold up for nothing. What I've said since the Derrick Henry move, the Derrick Henry acquisition was the carry split is going to be incredibly difficult to manage because the more carries you give Derrick Henry, the better he is. Lamar Jackson, we saw him in week 1. All he was doing was scrambling. They barely used Derrick Henry at all in the second half. And when they did, it was so blatantly obvious that they were running the football because, I was about to say Gus Edwards. Justice Hill would come in, by the way, got an extension today. Congratulations to you. Every time he came in, they were going to pass the football. So it became extremely obvious what scheme they were doing. If it's Derrick Henry, run. Justice Hill, pass. And that is on constant repeat. That is blatantly obvious what the Ravens are going to do. So what Derrick Henry and what Todd Monken needs to do is say, hey, we're going to use Derrick Henry a lot more. We're going to keep him out there a lot more. Yes, he's 30 years old, but there's a reason why you got him. You weren't going to go and get the scraps. You weren't going and fighting for Josh Jacobs. You weren't fighting for Aaron Jones. No, you decided to get Derrick Henry because of his massive reputation and how you thought he would fit into your offense. John Harbaugh said the reason of getting Derrick Henry was not to hand the ball off to him 30 times. Well, that's kind of where he excels at. So if you're not using him properly, his effectiveness is going to plummet. But when it comes to Lamar Jackson, and just over the Baltimore Ravens, but especially Lamar Jackson, I don't worry that much about this game. They're favorites on the road against a Cowboys team that got torched by Derek Carr, who over the past couple seasons has gained no respect, lost a bunch of it because of what happened in Las Vegas / Oakland, and then his first year with the Saints, it didn't look pretty. So the expectations weren't that high, and then he explodes in this season, scoring 91 points in the first 2 weeks. But when it comes to Lamar Jackson specifically, his career versing the NFC is ridiculous. These are the career splits between the AFC and the NFC. You could see that his NFC production, he's 20-3 since becoming the official starter. He's 20-1. But look at this, 34 touchdowns to only 8 interceptions and 98 pass rate. Now, he's actually a pretty consistent quarterback. But overall, he beats the NFC, he beats the crap out of the NFC, and I think that's in large part due to the fact that the NFC doesn't play Lamar Jackson that often. So figuring out what works against him, trying things out. It's once in a blue moon that you're going to play Lamar. So I'm expecting the Ravens to win here because they desperately need a win. The Cowboys, against good teams, which is another reason why I'm going to be picking the Ravens in this game, is that if the Ravens are the team that we think, and they're supposed to be a good team, Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys struggle against good teams. Micah Parsons disappears. Dak Prescott horrible. Interceptions, poor play. Once he gets down a bunch, basically the entire offense shuts down, and the defense is exhausted from getting torched all the time. So I'm expecting the Ravens to win because that's what Lamar does against the NFC. Now, he did lose to the only official loss that he had becoming the star for the Ravens was against Daniel Jones. I actually saw the replay of that game recently. Not great. But yeah, no, I'm thinking about this for 2 seconds too when it comes to Derrick Henry. Alvin Kamara hadn't rushed for over 100 yards since week 5 of 2022. He ran for 115 yards against Dallas. If Derrick Henry can get zero production, that's just a failure. Now, that's an overall failure of offensive line, of Derrick Henry, of scheme. I don't know what it is. But if there's one key piece that needs to be added to Todd Monken's scheme, it's run the damn football. I don't care if Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson and even Justice Hill combine for 45 carries. Do it. Because Dallas struggles against the run. They give up 141.5 rushing yards a game. They're not great. And also, Mozzie Smith is dealing with an injury. He won't be 100%. He had a tightness in his back, I believe, in practice earlier this week. Run the football. The interior defensive line of the Cowboys is getting torched. According to PFF, they have some of the lowest grades in their given positions. So the only way that the Ravens could seriously screw this up is pull an AFC championship game against the Chiefs. Have Lamar sit there and pass it 35 times and not use the running game at all. So if the Ravens are going to win this game, the way that they're going to win is by running the football. Because that's going to work based on the numbers. Dak Prescott, if he gets down, will shut down ultimately. But I think it's just unfortunate that we see two absolutely great talents. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are phenomenal in their own right. But as I expected, the battle between carries is affecting each performance. Lamar Jackson always looks great, but is at the detriment of Derrick Henry, who looks right now like a wasted signing because his production is very close to basically negligible for what he should be. He should be a significantly better running back on a team that has led the league in rushing for several years. Then you bring in Todd Monken, and it's more pass-heavy. And then when you need it, you stick with the pass instead of going back to what Lamar and the offense always knows, which is very, very good running.
What do you think about Lamar Jackson's quarterback rating so far? He's number 16, 55.2. Really has not played that great yet.
Well, his offensive line can't hold up. John Harbaugh has screwed him over. The late game calling, you think about this. Again, another example against the Raiders. Fourth quarter up double digits and you fall. That's on coaching. Lamar can do all he can, but if he's not getting help on the offensive line, if the scheme is, let's sit back in the pocket and hope Max Crosby doesn't take off your head, then what are you supposed to do? You're going up against Micah Parsons. And by the way, John Harbaugh took a shot at Ben Cleveland. I think a lot of people are expecting a change at the right guard, and you're calling out Ben Cleveland. That's saying they didn't beat out the guy. He couldn't be much worse. Because the right side of the offensive line needs a lot of work. And if you're going up against Micah Parsons, I don't even think doubling him would do much. So, yeah, the offensive line will get torched. It's just about what Todd Monken draws up. Are you going to do some sort of inside zone run with Derrick Henry? Please do. Use him. He should get 25 to 30 carries in this game because that's the only... I don't care if you're down by 3 with 5 minutes left. Run the football because that's what's going to work.
Yeah, and then go to the play action.
Lamar, yeah. I mean, they don't really use play. It's a very heavy just drop back and throw the football.
Well, it's more of an option type offense where Lamar's back there, gets the ball, and he decides what to do, whether to pass it or run it. And now they have Derrick Henry. You're right. They haven't really figured out the chemistry there and how to make it work best for them. I agree with you. He should be getting more carries.
Well, I think when it comes down to it, I'm looking up Pro Football Focus. Lamar Jackson, when it comes to play action percentage, he's 25th in the league at 19%. Malik Willis, who is, I guess, is technically qualified already, he's run more play action than Lamar Jackson. We have guys, Jacoby Brissett has run more play action. Deshaun Watson has run more play action.
Yeah.
Will Levis has run more play action. Will Levis actually does pretty well generally in the play action. But, yeah, no, like, Lamar doesn't run play action. It's not a part of Todd Monken's scheme. And if you don't run the football, what does play action do for you? Not much. And honestly, you're going to run play action with Justice Hill, not with Derrick Henry. You got to use Derrick Henry, put him on more snaps than you have been, because then you actually got to make him into a serious threat in both games, the passing and the running game.
Will Levis ranked 26 in NFL QBR at 36.8.
He's not a good quarterback. Doesn't matter. I'm just talking about scheme. Passer rating to me means whatever in this case. So, I mean, yeah, passer rating, whatever. He's not a top 10 quarterback, not a top 15.
You
He's
see
bottom
Kyler
5.
Murray is ranked number 2 in QBR at 91.4.
Yeah, I think he was incredible in week 2. He was good in the first half of week 1.
His wide receiver there, the rookie.
Marvin Harrison.
Marvin Harrison. Wow. This past week.
It's what we expected.
150 yards.
It's what we expected.
Yeah.
But I'll say this right now. The Rams secondary, the Rams' entire team is banged up. So to me, that wasn't a shock. Was it a little bit surprising just how easily Harrison can get open? Absolutely. But to say, whoa, Marvin Harrison, who? What is he? No, because he was the best wide receiver coming out of the draft class. He was 6'4", could fly. He dominated in college. Was since like 2 years ago was expected to be the number 1 receiver off the board, which he was. Kyler Murray, who scrambles out, makes incredibly deep throws, relatively accurately. He has the Murray magic throw to DeAndre Hopkins. I wasn't that surprised. With the ease that he was able to find the production, that's what I was a little bit surprised with. But to say, well, I'd never seen Kyler do that. No, I've seen him do that before.
Josh Allen off to a nice start.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. It's a brand new scheme. Joe Brady, instead of Ken Dorsey, is doing wonders for the Bills, wonders just for the overall offense. Take the ball out of Josh Allen's hands, and it's less mistakes, better production. It's a win-win for both.
Sam Darnold doing a great job, 2-0 with the Vikings. We didn't expect that.
Well, I kind of did. I thought J.J. McCarthy would do fine. You didn't because you don't like Sam Darnold. You don't think he's any good.
I don't, but
he's proven you wrong.
Maybe having O'Connell as the coach has helped him a lot.
Which is why I thought J.J. McCarthy would do fine. All right, we're going to take a break. But coming up, we're going to make our Week 3 picks, and I had a winning record for Week 2 of my Harvey Hot Hand. We'll come back with another edition of that. Week 3's edition. I like my picks. Some point spreads move, but I still take them. Yeah, we'll talk about that right after this.
Traveling can be a nightmare. Why? You can't watch your favorite shows abroad. You can't trust public Wi-Fi spots anymore. And when you return, roaming bills kill your vibe. Unless you get a NordVPN and Saley deal. NordVPN will increase your privacy online. And Saley, a global eSIM data app, will save you from those unexpected roaming charges. Grab the 2-year NordVPN deal with 76% off and get up to 20 gigabytes Saley eSIM data gift.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with. Where they're finding inner balance, and why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world listens.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic, which is our Week 3 picks. Week 2, again, some questionable situations. More parity in the NFL as always. I always begin with our Week 3 picks, so let's begin. Last night, we talked ourselves at the end of Tuesday's show into picking the Patriots, and that was a massive mistake. They ended up losing it 24-3. Not pretty. However, I did go 7-9 in Week 2, 6-10 in the point spread, 7-9 in the win-loss record. So let's get into Week 3 with Giants at Cleveland. I'll take the Browns here. I think the offensive line has held up pretty nicely for Daniel Jones, at least in Week 2, albeit it was against a Washington Commanders team that the defense has gotten torched so far week after week. We'll see how it does this week against the Bengals. They should get destroyed in Week 3. But I'm thinking the Browns here. Defense, it's getting healthier. The offensive line's getting healthier. Deshaun Watson actually kind of looked like vintage Deshaun Watson in Week 2. I'll take the Browns to win. Cover 6.5 point spread. I just don't think the Giants are any good. I think the defense will swallow them whole. Did a pretty good job against Dak Prescott in week 1. Pretty low completion percentage, not a lot of yards, a lot of field goal kicking from Brandon Aubrey. I will take the Browns to win and cover a 6.5 point spread. The next one, Bears at Colts. I'll take the Bears and Caleb Williams in an upset over the Colts because I think this defense, what we saw last week from the Colts and Anthony Richardson, Green Bay got to him, Green Bay pressured him, and Green Bay forced him into a lot of mistakes. 3 interceptions, 50% completion percentage. It looked bad, and that's with Malik Willis at quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Now, Jordan Love may actually be in there this week. He was questionable, but when it comes to the Bears, no offensive line. Terrible offensive line. Caleb Williams right now doesn't look that great. It is only week 2 at the time. He's been through 2 weeks so far. We don't need to, call anything out and say, oh, he's a complete bust. We'll have to wait and see. But so far, it's not pretty. Keenan Allen's out. We'll see how Rome Odunze feels for this game. But I think right now the defense will be the answer right now for the Chicago Bears. Will Levis had an opportunity to beat this Bears team pretty handily, and then he had 2 very questionable decisions that actually led in the Titans' loss. I'll take the Bears' defense ultimately to disrupt Anthony Richardson, make him pay for his mistakes. DeForest Buckner's out, or at least dealing with an injury for the Colts, so that should help out the Bears' offensive line a little bit. I'll take the Bears to win and cover a plus, or obviously cover a plus 1.5 point spread. The next one, Texans at Vikings. I will take the Vikings again in an upset over the Houston Texans. Running back game for the Houston Texans absolutely decimated. Damian Pierce out. Joe Mixon, I think he's doubtful or he might already be out. So CJ Stroud will be left with Cam Akers, who has a fumbling issue. That's not great, but the Vikings have shocked us. Running game is good enough. Sam Darnold tearing it up. Justin Jefferson was banged up. He was still shredding 49ers defense that we all think is very, very good. TJ Hawkinson's been out, so he's been doing this with relatively subpar talent ultimately. Offensive line's great for the Vikings. Defensive line is getting a lot of pressure, disrupting passing lanes, making quarterbacks feel uncomfortable. CJ Stroud does well under pressure, and he does well on third down, but I think this will be the Sam Darnold show. I'll take the Vikings in an upset and obviously cover a plus 2.5 point spread. The next one's Eagles at Saints. The Eagles defense, I thought, did a good job, especially to open up the game, being in your own territory, turning the ball over, and giving the Packers very, very good field position and only getting field goals out of it instead of being down 14-0. And then look what happened. Vic Fangio did nothing for against Kirk Cousins last week, generated 0 pressure on that final drive. I think it's bad. This defense, ultimately, in the big picture of things, does not look great. I'll take the Saints here. The Saints, I think, are a legitimate team. And are they Super Bowl contenders? Maybe not. But are they serious threats to some teams to be like a disruptor, saying if you are going to face us and you need a playoff spot, well, we may actually ruin the playoff chances for you. I'll take the Saints to win here and cover a minus 2.5 points, but I think Derek Carr in this offense, hey, right now it looks pretty legit. Next one, Broncos at Buccaneers. The Broncos are significantly worse than I thought. Bo Nix looks bad. Boy, he looks bad. Running game's not giving him any help, but throwing into triple coverage against the Seahawks, generating no offense, dinking and dunking the entire time against the Steelers. Offensive line can't really hold up. Defense, yeah, Pat Surtain's great, but outside of him, the defense ultimately isn't that great. Baker Mayfield's absolutely killing it so far right now. It seems like that the Dave Canales effect has really transitioned into maybe long-term effect. It's not only when he's coaching, maybe like Shane Steichen with Jalen Hurts. It looks like this is the new Baker Mayfield. And boy, against the Lions, where he was getting killed by Aiden Hutchinson, what did he do late in the game? Run after run, showing a lot of competitive energy, high motor, aggression, scoring a rushing touchdown. That's the energy that I like to see from Baker Mayfield. When he has fun, he succeeds. And I think against a Broncos team that isn't great, I will take the Buccaneers to win and cover a minus 6.5 point spread. Let's run it. The next one, this one I'm going to put a little asterisk next to. I'm going to put a little asterisk. If Jordan Love is playing, this is my pick. I will take the Packers in an upset over the Tennessee Titans. The Titans defense is a little bit frisky, but Will Levis keeps making some very, very dumb mistakes. Very dumb mistakes. Questionable mistakes. I think if you were I would say if you're a rookie quarterback, a lot of people would be saying this rookie looks bad. He looks confused. Is he seeing ghosts? Now Will Levis is in year 2, and people are saying, yeah, he just isn't cutting it. But what's your backup plan? really nothing. So Brian Callahan is kind of stuck with Will Levis unless they want to bring Ryan Tannehill back in. But I think Jordan Love, even coming off an injury, what did the Packers do against the Indianapolis Colts? They ran the hell out of the football. I think they had 50 carries. They killed it on the running game, and I think we're going to see a similar thing when it comes to the Green Bay Packers against the Titans this week. I think Jordan Love, if he's out there, will do perfectly fine. Even if Malik Willis is out there, screw the asterisks. I'll take the Packers to win anyway because he seemed okay. He ran the offense relatively efficiently. The numbers weren't extremely high, but he did a good enough job to actually kind of kill the Indianapolis Colts last week. I'll take the Packers in upset and cover plus 2.5 point spread. The next one, this point spread's moved a little bit. It shows it in a Harvey Hot Hand, so that's a little bit of a spoiler. But on the graphic, the Chargers are now actually 3-point underdogs. So I kind of love this more. Justin Herbert dealing with a high ankle sprain, definitely not ideal. And but I don't think that'll matter that much. Because how does Jim Harbaugh's offense, or just overall team, his mindset of an NFL team work? Ferocious defense, tough defense, and ground and pound. Well, J.K. Dobbins is averaging 9.9 yards a carry. What? Are you kidding me? He gets a first down, essentially, every time he touches the football. Gus Edwards, ironically, it's the Chargers. It's thunder and lightning, the 1-2 punch. Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. They were dealing with injuries on the Baltimore Ravens, and so far through 2 weeks, now about to be 3 weeks, they look as healthy as could be. I think that if Justin Herbert's out there, I don't think it'll matter that much. I think they're just going to run the ball against a Steelers defense, and you could worry about the pass rush of T.J. Watt. Joe Alt going up against some ferocious pass rushes from Christian Wilkins as well as Max Crosby. 19 pass blocking snaps against those two. 0 pressures allowed. Max Crosby's one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. And the amount of praise that people were saying that I should give to Christian Wilkins, well, there you go. Joe Alt, a rookie, just dominated those two incredible pass rushers. So I'll take the Chargers in an upset over the Pittsburgh Steelers. The next one, Panthers at Raiders. Andy Dalton's start of 2024 against the Las Vegas Raiders. I'll take the Raiders to win here, but I think this will be a close game. I'll take the Panthers to cover a 6.5 point spread. Andy Dalton, in one start for the Panthers last year, led the entire Panthers team, or rather, he led every single game, had the highest passing yards in the game for the Panthers in 2023. One singular game. Bryce Young couldn't do that. I'll take Andy Dalton to at least cover this point spread. The team's not great. Offensive line actually is not the problem for the Carolina Panthers like it was last year. I think the Raiders offensively, they're okay. They're not going to be great. They're not a great built offense. Offensive line, there's some holes. Gardner Minshew's your quarterback. Now, he did great against the Baltimore Ravens, but the Ravens defense can get got. Against the pass, they're one of the worst passing defenses in the league. Running-wise, nobody runs against the Ravens because it doesn't work that well. So they pass it, and it's led to some success. The Chiefs beat them. Now the Raiders beat them. But I do think the Raiders will get a win here. I would say this is probably a 3 or 4 point victory for the Raiders, but the Panthers will cover. Raiders win. Panthers cover 6.5 point spread. The next one, Seahawks at Dolphins. How the hell is this 4.5 points? The Dolphins rolling out Skylar Thompson. I think this is a relatively easy pick here. Seahawks minus 4.5. I'll take it. Offensively, yes. Kenneth Walker will be out for this game, but Charbonnet's a perfectly fine running back. You got DK Metcalf. You have Tyler Lockett, JSN. Offensive line, Charles Cross among qualified tackles is the highest graded tackle in the NFL. Pass rush-wise, I think the interior defense is doing a pretty good job. Defensively, I'm going to bring it up again. Harvey Hot Hand spoiler. The defensive backs among qualified backs, coverage-wise, some of the best in the league. So I'll take the Seahawks to win and cover 4.5 point spread. The next one, this is my most nervous pick of the entire week. Lions at Cardinals. I have no idea what the Cardinals actually are because they absolutely choked in the second half against the Buffalo Bills, and against the Rams that were kind of banged up, they absolutely killed them. But I will take Jared Goff, who looked terrible against the Buccaneers. And with Dan Campbell kind of screwing him over with clock management and bad calls, I'll take them to bounce back in this game against the Cardinals team. I just think when it comes down to it, you look at the two teams, who's built better? That is the Detroit Lions. I don't even know if right now if Jared Goff is the better quarterback amongst the two because he has not played very well so far in 2024. This is my Super Bowl pick. They need to start dominating again. This could be an opportunity for them to dominate, but I'm not I don't feel great about this pick. I'll take the Lions to win, though, and cover 3.5 points, or 3 points, but excuse me. The next one we talked about, this Ravens at Cowboys. I'll take the Ravens to win and cover a 1.5 point spread here. This is a must win. Because just based on the history of the Baltimore Ravens, every time they've gone down 0-2, they've missed the playoffs. And this is the first time they've gone down 0-2 since 2015. This is looking bad. The right side of the offensive line can't hold up very well. Todd Monken, Justice Hill is out-snapping Derrick Henry. That falls on Todd Monken. There's a reason why you got Derrick Henry, and it's not because, he's just a cool guy. I'm sure he's a very, very cool guy. But I think it's because you wanted his run production, which, guess what? The more carries he gets, the more production you're going to get out of him. So please, hand the ball off to him more. Don't let Justice Hill out-snap Derrick Henry. Use the running game. This was the best running team for like 3 straight years with Greg Roman. Maybe you got to call up the charge and say, hey, we kind of need you. We finally got a really good running back. Fix our offense. That might be a good idea. I'll take the Ravens to win here and cover. I just think Dallas Cowboys can't beat good teams. Dak Prescott doesn't do so well. Ravens win and cover 1.5 point spread. The next one, we'll call this the injury game. 49ers at Rams. Both teams are banged up. But when it comes to the Los Angeles Rams, they go from being a good team to now with a bunch of injuries being they are not great team. When it comes to the 49ers, they're a great team. They get a bunch of injuries. They're just a normal team. So we'll see how Brock Purdy does. Because when he trails, he doesn't look like a good quarterback. We'll see how he appears to be in a potentially a future situation where George Kittle retires, Deebo Samuel moves on. I'm sure Ayuk's obviously going to be there for a number of years. Offensive line, they could be banged up in future years. We got to see what Brock Purdy looks like with a normal team. This is probably the best opportunity with Deebo Samuel out. Brandon Ayuk is banged up, but he's going to be playing. George Kittle's going to be out. We'll see what Brock Purdy does with a normal team. I do think they'll beat the Rams because the Rams were banged up with injuries. Like I said, they're a good team, bunch of injuries. They're now a bad team. The 49ers are a great team, banged up, normal team. Law of averages here. I'll take the 49ers to win and cover a 6.5 point spread. The next one, Chiefs at Falcons. The Chiefs were one dumb mistake from the Bengals away from losing and Mahomes playing terrible. Mahomes did play terrible, but the Bengals kind of shot themselves in the foot with a 4th and 16 defensive pass interference that sealed the game for the Bengals, leading the Chiefs to win on a game-winning field goal. I think the Chiefs right now, the Chiefs are going to kill it. The Falcons love playing zone defense. What's one player that absolutely destroys zone defense? It's Travis Kelce. Who also eats up the zone? Rashee Rice. Those two players are going to have massive games. Pacheco's going to be out, but I don't think that'll matter that much. I don't. I think Mahomes will have a really, really good game a really, really good passing game. I think he'll play very, very well. I think the pass rush, we already saw what a pass rush could do in week 1 with the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Falcons. What's Chris Jones and that defense going to do against that Falcons offensive line? I think Kirk will be uncomfortable. I think he'll make some mistakes. I'll take the Chiefs to win and cover 3-point spread on the road in Sunday Night Football. And finally, 2 Monday night games. I got both home teams winning. Jacksonville, they can't score, and they give up, they can't score. The Bills, on the other hand, don't give up a bunch of points, and they score a lot. James Cook's going to be killing them. Josh Allen, what Joe Brady's done for Josh Allen is take the ball out of his hands, put it in James Cook's hands, and basically be a very balanced offense. And that's worked incredibly well. So I'll take the Buffalo Bills to win here, cover minus 4.5 points, but over the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence just isn't playing well. He's 0-7 in his last 7 games. He's not playing well. There's nothing to say about it. I think this is another game where a defense disrupts Trevor Lawrence. The offense isn't effective. It's relatively bad. They're averaging 15 points a game. I'll take the Bills to win and cover a 4.5 point spread. And finally, Commanders at Bengals. Joe Burrow was this close for continuing Burrowhead. And then a 4th and 16 call. Defensive pass interference. Killed those chances. I think this is a revenge game. This is a bounce-back game. And I know T. Higgins probably won't play in this game, but Joe Burrow will absolutely kill the secondary. It made Baker Mayfield look like an MVP candidate. It actually allowed Daniel Jones to go from being a bottom 5 quarterback to actually being in the top 10 for week 2. Like, Daniel Jones looked that good. I think Joe Burrow will absolutely destroy the secondary. And I think Trey Hendrickson could cause problems for Jaden Daniels, who got absolutely rocked in the ribs last week. I think he'll cause more problems in this one. I'll take the Bengals to win and cover a 7.5 point spread. That's a massive point spread. I don't think this will be like the Ravens-Raiders, because there's not really a hole that the Commanders can exploit like the Raiders did for the Ravens last week, where you have two really good pass rushers against a bad offensive line. The Commanders have a bad offensive line. They need to get Terry McLaurin more targets. They haven't really done that. I think Cam Taylor-Britt will take care of that. He likes to talk. He even talked about Jaden Daniels recently, about how he's playing a college offense. Simple. So who knows? But yeah, those are my picks. The only one I don't feel great about is the Lions and Cardinals, because I don't know what the Cardinals are. I don't, and Jared Goff's not playing well. I took the overall better built team. Hopefully, Dan, as we call it, Dan Gamble, won't absolutely screw Jared Goff over, but those are my picks. Now it's time for your Week 3 picks. You start off extremely hot, 14-2 in Week 1. You took a little bit of a dip in Week 3. But yeah, here are your picks.
Okay, well, I enjoyed listening to your picks. I think that I agree with you that the Lions against the Cardinals is a tough one to pick. I'll tell you my choice on that one in a minute or two here. So the Giants and the Browns, the Giants are pitiful, I must say. They are in last place in their division, a division that is not looking so hot right now. There's no undefeated team in that division this year. When the Eagles started out with 10-0 last year, they're 1-1. The Cowboys are 1-1. Actually, the Commanders are leading the division at 1-1. So it looks like it could be a weaker division. They're 3-7 in that division. So I'm sorry, 3-6. And so I think the Giants are a weak team. They've only scored 24 points so far. They've given up 49. A defense that was touted to be really good is showing that they can't get much pressure on the quarterback. The Browns, on the other hand, they had the number one defense in the league last year. They've given up 46 points so far. They've only scored 35, so they're behind the point differential by 11 points there. But I think they're going to be too much for the Giants, and they will cover this point spread. The Bears against the Colts. This is a game of teams that are both I don't think going much of anywhere. The Colts are 0-2, and the the Bears are 1-1. The Bears, their offense with Caleb Williams, he looks like he doesn't really know what he's doing out there. He really has not played very well, been quite disappointing. The offense has scored 37 points. The defense has given up 36, so it's about even. The Colts, on the other hand, they're they have a negative point differential of 8 points negative. Anthony Richardson, flashes of brilliance, but then not playing so well, and looking like a rookie. I think the Colts are at home, and I think that will be the difference. I think they will cover the point spread, which is close at 1.5, and beat the Bears. The Texans and the Vikings. The Texans are who we thought they were so far this year. They're 2-0. They're doing well. Their defense is not what we expected, though. It's given up more points than the offense has scored. The offense has scored 40, and the defense has given up 48. That's a little surprising. I thought that the offense would really dominate, but even so, they're still 2-0, so they're finding a way to win. The Vikings, on the other hand, are a surprise. We thought with Sam Darnold out there that they wouldn't be much. They're 2-0, and they won a couple of big games actually, and their offense is prolific, scoring 51 points so far. The defense is great too, only giving up 23. One of the best defenses in the league so far. So I like I think the Vikings are good. I think the Texans are better, and I think that the Texans are a team that I think can go deep into the playoffs, as we talked about when we made our picks. I didn't think the Vikings would be anywhere near this good. I think they may come back to earth a little bit in this game, and the Texans will beat them in cover on the road. Now, this one, to me, is a hard one to pick. The Eagles at the Saints. The Saints starting out unbelievably. Their offense scoring 91 points so far. By far the tops in the league, and the defense only giving up 29. That differential is huge. The best in the league. And the record shows it. They're 2-0. The Eagles, on the other hand, their offense and their defense almost equal. The defense giving up 51, the offense scoring 55. A little disappointing, I think. I mean, we were hoping for a better defense from the Eagles so far this year. They've been spotty. Then they're 1-1. They could have won that game. Saquon Barkley hadn't dropped that screen pass. If he'd hung on to it, they would have wound up winning against the Falcons last week, but they lost by 1 point. I think they're going to rebound in this game and find a way to beat the Saints, who are playing at home. I could be wrong on this one, but I think Saquon Barkley is going to have a good game against a strong Saints defense. And Jalen Hurts starting out very well this year. His QBR, I believe, is number 7 at 68.5. He's had a couple of good games. He had some turnovers in the red zone in the first game, which is unfortunate. But he did play well last week, well enough to win. But they lost that game with the dropped screen pass at the end by Barkley. Moving on to the Broncos and the Buccaneers. It's going to be a long season for the Broncos, I'm afraid. They're 0-2. They have Bo Nix, who I like, and I think will be a good quarterback down the road, but he's feeling the growing pains big time. He is not playing well. His quarterback rating near the bottom here at number 27 at 36.4. He's got a lot to learn, but I do think that Sean Payton's going to leave him out there, let him learn how to play the game real time. And I don't have any problem with that. I think it will be good for him, and I think overall it will be good for the team. But they're not going to beat the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers doing very well so far this year. Their record is 2-0, and their points for are not that great, actually. Points against are higher than you would expect. 36-4 and 57 against. I think that they are a good team, and I think they will. Their offense with Baker Mayfield playing very well so far this year. He's in the top 10 in the QBR at number 8 with 68.8 ranking. That's very good, and he's shown it out on the field, making the right decisions, running when he needed to. I think he's the reason they're 2-0. He and Mike Evans together. So I think they're going to beat the Broncos pretty handily. They're playing at home. They'll cover the 6.5 point spread. Green Bay at the Titans. I'm surprised the Titans are favored in this game by 2.5. I don't think they're going to pull it off. They're 0-2. Their defense not playing all that well. Their offense with Will Levis is making a bunch of mistakes. Man, he made that play he made where he tried to shuffle the ball and it got intercepted. That was a very poor decision. I think he's going to make more mistakes against a very good Green Bay team who is very well coached, I must say. Having Jordan Love get hurt and then having Malik Willis come in there and look terrible at the end of the Eagles Green Bay game in the first game. But finding a way to win last week, basically running the ball on almost every play. I like LaFleur. I think he's a very good coach, and I think they're going to find a way to win this game against the Titans. The Steelers and the Chargers. Wow, the Chargers with the new coach. What a difference Jim Harbaugh is making for them. Their offense, one of the better ones in the league now. They're 2-0, outscoring their opponents by 35 points, point differential. The defense only giving up 13 points so far. That's the best in the league. And the Steelers also doing very well on defense, only giving up 16 points so far this year. And the offense, Justin Fields, a game manager, really. They've scored 31 points so far this year. Not terrible, not great. They are 2-0. They're playing at home. I think they find a way to beat the Chargers. This is one I'm not feeling really great about. I do think the Chargers could find a way to win this game. They seem to be really playing well under Jim Harbaugh. They have a great quarterback in Herbert, and so I think this will be an interesting game. I'm picking the Steelers to win. They are favored by 1.5. The Panthers and the Raiders. Boy, the Panthers, wow. They scored 13 points so far this year. Not too good. They've given up, and even that worse, they've given up 73.
Well, they're
so
a bad
it's
team.
Terrible. And so they're starting Andy Dalton now. Andy Dalton did well for them last year when he got in the game. He's all excited. He didn't think he would get another chance. Now he's got it. He's going up against the Raiders, who surprised the Ravens last week. Very surprised by that. Gardner Minshew played well last week. They're 1-1. I'm looking to the Raiders to find a way to win. They're playing at home. I do think they'll cover the point spread at 6.5. Dolphins at Seahawks without Tua in there. Skylar Thompson, I don't think he's going to get it done. The defense is not that great, a little soft. The Seahawks, on the other hand, leading the division right now at 2-0. Geno playing well, 300 yards passing against the Patriots last week. Has a nice receiver core there. I think they're going to find a way to win and cover the point spread at 4.5. The Lions at the Cardinals. I agree with you. This is a hard one to pick. I did pick the Lions. I probably regret that. I think the Cardinals have found something, and Kyler Murray bouncing back now. He's got the number 2 quarterback rating at 91.4. He's throwing to Harrison now, who looks like maybe he could be the rookie of the year with 150 yards receiving last week. They dominated the Rams, who were all beat up. But I think this game's going to be very close. I got the Lions winning on the road. Hopefully Dan Gamble won't make too many gambles and too many boneheaded mistakes like he did last week. Ravens at Cowboys. This is a must-win for the Ravens. We talked about it. Ravens minus 1.5. I think they're going to win. San Francisco at the Rams. Both teams banged up, but as you say, the Rams are really banged up. The San Francisco's team has so much talent. They're banged up, so they're maybe more of a normal team. We'll see what Brock Purdy can do without all of his weapons. That's kind of been a problem for him in the past, but I do think they find a way to cover the point spread at 6.5 and beat the Rams. Sunday Night Football, Kansas City at the Falcons. Sorry, Falcons, you're playing the Super Bowl champs. They have the heart of a champion. They haven't played all that well this year, particularly Patrick Mahomes, but they're going to beat you, even though you're playing at home. You haven't got much offense. Your defense looks pretty good. Kirk Cousins played a lot better last week, shook off a lot of the rust, found a way to win in the last minute. I don't think that's going to happen this week. I got the Kansas City winning this game and covering the point spread. Jaguars at Bills. The Jaguars go 0-3, man. That could be a real problem. If Trevor Lawrence doesn't win a game or two here pretty soon, people are going to start calling for Mac Jones. This is a kind of a must-win for them, and I don't think they're going to get it done. Look at the Bills, man. They look like the team that's been the winner of the AFC East for many years now, with Josh Allen really playing very well. Up there, number 3 in the QBR at 70. He's 83.8, playing great, looking good. Offense scoring 65 points already. Defense only giving up 38. They're 2-0. They're going to cover the point spread and beat the Jaguars. And finally, the Commanders against the Bengals. Come on, Bengals. Come on, you're 0-2. Been 0-2 the last 3 years. Last year, you started to rally, and then Joe Burrow got hurt, and that was the end. The year before, he rallied, almost made it to the Super Bowl. I think they start their rally this week by beating the Commanders, who have an interesting quarterback with Jalen Daniels out there. As he makes it a little somewhat exciting, but it won't be too exciting for them this week playing against the Bengals with the Bengals at home and the Bengals covering the 7.5 point spread.
So
That's my picks.
we disagree on Bears, Texans, Eagles, Chargers. I have the Panthers covering. I think those are the only differences that we have.
That's quite a few differences. I can't say
I'm
worried. I'm worried about the Steelers-Chargers game. My pick there. I'm worried about the Lions-Cardinals, and I'm worried about Green Bay and the Titans too, because Malik Willis out there again, and they'll know what the strategies the Titans are going to know. They're just going to be running the ball the whole time.
All right. Well, it's time. It's always that time. It's my favorite segment to always do on the show. It's the Harvey Hot Hand. Went 3-2 last week, winning week. We made some money. That's always good. This is obviously brought to you by Dr. Squatch. To go to drsquatch.com/Nathan Harvey or use the link down below and get $10 off your purchase of $20 or more for new customers. Now let's get into it. Like I said, we went 3-2. Winning record. My Harvey Hot Hand, for those who don't know, I bet on the 5 teams that I think are the best bets to make you some money. So let's begin with the first matchup.
Jaguars at Bills.
So the Jaguars' offense is abysmal, 15 points per game. Meanwhile, the Buffalo Bills, they absolutely dominate on offense, averaging nearly 32 points a game, as well as having the 8th best scoring defense. They only give up the eighth fewest points allowed. Trevor Lawrence completing 51% of his throws so far. In the past 7 games, he's 0 for 7 with a 60% completion percentage, 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and 82 passer rate, 81.9 passer rating. The Bills are 4th in takeaways. I think this will be, you're going to disrupt Trevor Lawrence. He's not going to be able to do much. We could see an interception or two. I think really the offense that Joe Brady brought over as the QB coach when Ken Dorsey was there, he ended up getting fired. Insert Joe Brady, more running game, ball out of Josh Allen's hands, turnovers down, offense looks much better. I mean, the Bills, this could be an opportunity for them to finally get over that hump and could make a Super Bowl. I think it's going to be very difficult just because the Super Bowl is very, very difficult to make. But I think everything being said in this matchup, I think it works beautifully in the Bills' favor. I'll take the Bills to win and cover a 4.5 point spread, and they win 27-20.
Dolphins at Seahawks.
This one, it's 4.5 point spread. I'm not sure how. I think that right now, Skylar Thompson, the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, he has not played well so far as a quarterback for the Dolphins. He had one really, really good game against the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs, but that was a massive outlier there. Since then, not great. He really isn't that good. I think he has 1 touchdown, 2 picks in the regular season in like 3 appearances. But I'm going to say right now, what's absolutely ridiculous, Tua's on IR after another concussion. Raheem Mostert's doubtful. Charles Cross is the highest graded run blocking tackle and is 8th in pass blocking. But this is really what's shocking. Among qualified players, Seattle has 4 top 10 graded coverage defenders. The highest graded Dolphins defender in coverage, 89th, Jordan Phillips, a linebacker. So the coverage on for the Seattle Seahawks is significantly better than the Dolphins. I think this will be a decently high-scoring game. I don't know if you want to call 24 points high-scoring, but I think the Seattle Seahawks will absolutely take care of Skylar Thompson and the Miami Dolphins. I'll take the Seahawks to cover minus 4.5 point spread and win 24-14.
Ravens at Cowboys.
This one is a must-win, a must-have. In the Ravens' history, they are 0-2. This is the first time they go 0-2 since 2015, and when they go 0-2, they miss the playoffs. Absolutely, this is a must-win for them. They need to legitimately make franchise history in order for them to bounce back in the entire season, because right now they are set up for failure. They're going against a Dallas Cowboys interior defense that absolutely got torched by Alvin Kamara, who, by the way, he hasn't had a 100-yard running game since Week 5 of 2022, had 115 rushing yards in this past game in Week 2. But Baltimore needs to use one guy and one guy only. It's the guy we've talked about all day, Derrick Henry. How is Justice Hill out-snapping Derrick Henry? That's on Todd Monken. That's on John Harbaugh. That's on scheming and coaching. Let Derrick Henry do what he does best, run it early and often. The Dallas Cowboys are 32nd in running defense. Run the football. That's the way you're going to find success here. This is not a situation where Lamar sits back in the pocket and throws it over the middle. That's actually statistically and historically what he's not good at. Yes, his receivers haven't been great, but the fact that Isaiah Likely is still the number one target, even after week 2, where he had, 37 receiving yards, and he's still the top receiver, that's shocking. So I think when it comes down to it, the Ravens, like I said, need to run it early and often. They will cover a 1.5 point spread and win 26-23. They need this game more than the Cowboys do. They're hungry. They're a hungry team, and I think really John Harbaugh, could his seat potentially get a little bit hotter? I think so. Like I said, Ravens win and cover -1.5 point spread. They win 26-23.
Chargers at Steelers.
This one, it used to be +1.5 and I liked it. Now it's +3. I like it even more. Yes, I understand that Justin Herbert is dealing with a high ankle sprain, and it's a pain tolerance thing, and it's questionable for this game. But I think this will rely heavily on whether or not Joe Alt and Slater can do their job. So far, they've done a great job. Against the Raiders, great pass rush with Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby. 19 pass blocking snaps, 0 pressures allowed. Now you're going up against a very ferocious defensive line. You're talking about Cam Hayward. You're talking about Alex Highsmith, Patrick Queen, TJ Watt. There's a lot of heavy pass rushers and overall really good defenders that Justin Herbert, if he is out there with a high ankle sprain, he won't be able to move around as effectively as you want him to. That could be a problem. But I think based on the fact that it's a Jim Harbaugh run team, well, they are kind of what we expected them to be. A very good, powerful defense with an effective run game. Ground and pound, ferocious defense. And that's exactly what the Chargers have been. Their defense is absolutely legit. They are a top 3 defense in the NFL compared to, at this point, being on pace for the most receiving yards per game in a single season given up with Brandon Staley last year. Jim Harbaugh has completely flipped the script of what the Chargers defense is. But J.K. Dobbins, I think him and Gus Edwards, but more importantly, J.K. Dobbins, the resurgence of him now that he's healthy with a team that's using him like they are with a good offensive line. He leads the league in rushing yards as well as yards per attempt at 9.9. Every time he gets the ball, it's essentially a first down. That's ridiculous. Absolutely incredible. And I think that's going to help Justin Herbert out a lot if they could establish a good running game, but it's against the Steelers defense that honestly is incredible. The pass rush is great, but I'm trusting the Chargers. They cover. They upset the Pittsburgh Steelers, win 17-14. I like Justin Herbert. I think Jim Harbaugh will get it done. The defense is legit. Justin Fields makes mistakes. I think he'll make 1 or 2 here. So far, he's been great, but I think he will make a mistake. And finally, the 5th pick of the Harvey Hot Hand of Week 3.
Eagles at Saints.
This one's interesting. I understand. It's going to be interesting to see how the Saints defense holds up against Jalen Hurts. But what we've seen so far from Jalen Hurts since Shane Steichen left is high turnovers, questionable decision-making, bad throws. Nick Sirianni, late game management, awful. Vic Fangio's defense giving up nearly 400 yards a game. They're 30th in total defense, 32nd in yards per play allowed. Basically 70% of a first down they give up on each play. The Saints have 91 points in 2 games, while Philadelphia has given up the 8th most points through these first 2 weeks. Their interior defense not generating enough pressure with the type of name recognition that they have. What Clint Kubiak has done for Derek Carr has been incredible, and it's already paying dividends. Derek Carr getting help from Peyton Manning, and I forgot the other person, but he was getting help from two quarterbacks, and we've seen the improvement from year 1 with the Saints to now year 2. You get off your old OC, who is very conservative play calling. You add in Clint Kubiak, and he's doing great. Pass blocking and run blocking for the Saints has been incredible. Pairing that up with a defense of the Eagles that can get torched and has gotten torched. Alvin Kamara, I think, will be another massive piece for the Saints in this game. It'll be a high-scoring game, but I will take the Saints to win and cover a -2.5 point spread. They win 31-27, and those are my top picks, my Harvey Hot Hand picks for Week 3. And as always, Harvey Hot Hand is brought to you by Dr. Squatch. Use the link down below or go to drsquatch.com/Nathan Harvey. Get $10 off orders of $20 or more for new customers. Thank you so much for helping out the show and what we do here at the Harvey Hour. But obviously, I always get your opinion on my picks. What do you think of my Harvey Hot Hand for Week 3?
Can you replay them again here? Show me what they were.
It's Buffalo against Jacksonville.
I agree with that one.
Seattle against Miami.
Yeah, I think that one too.
Baltimore -1.5 against Dallas.
That's going to be I think there are easier games to pick than that one.
Well, you said the Ravens Raiders one back in Week 2 should have been an easy pick, and they lost.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Chargers and Saints.
You didn't think the Raiders against the Panthers?
I have Panthers covering the point spread.
Yeah, okay. And how about San Francisco against L.A.?
Too many injuries. Way too many injuries, too high of a point spread.
Yeah. Okay.
I could have picked the Bengals, too, but I thought too high.
How about the Browns against the Giants?
Who knows? Health-wise, and the Giants look good. I don't know if Deshaun Watson's going to be week 1 Deshaun or week 2 Deshaun. Because if it's week 2 Deshaun, they should blow out the Giants.
Yeah. Bengals against the Commanders?
That's the one I could have chosen, but I'm not trusting the high point spread. I don't know what Joe Burrow's going to look like.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll see. I mean, you had a winning record last week. That's
3-2. I'm 4-6 for the entire year. We had a 1-4 start to the year, which is not great, but I think I'm going to turn out pretty good this year. So far, so good. There's way too much parity. We got to settle things out. There's too much volatility.
I think you see the parity in the points for and points against. There's many teams.
Not really.
There's many teams where the points for and against are very close in each team. And you look at some of the standings in like the AFC South. Every team is 0-2 except the Texans, who are 2-0.
Well, okay. So let's say Jacksonville wins one game. Okay, but then the other teams lose. That is the division. Houston, Jacksonville, and then the other 2 is up for grabs.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we expected. AFC West is what we expected.
You look at the AFC North, 3 and
the AFC North is
5.
The AFC North's a problem because you have Cincinnati and Baltimore.
The Bengals,
it should be flipped.
No wins.
Should be flipped.
Yeah, the AFC West looks the strongest division right now.
They always are.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The AFC West, we already knew that they were always going to be the tougher division because think about the amount of firepower you have, the head coaching power you have. Now with Jim Harbaugh, that's probably the best coach division in the NFL. Just when it comes down to overall coaching ability and history.
The NFC East doesn't look too good. All 3 teams.
It never does. It's the NFC
1-1.
least. That's their nickname, the NFC least.
NFC West, a little surprising, 4-4. And the NFC North, 5-3. The NFC South, 5-3. So it's parity, Nate. I think it's parity. I think actually it's a good thing for the league.
Not for me.
It's tough for us picking the games, but for the excitement of watching the games, then having close games is good for the fans.
Yeah, but normally if you're having a close game, it's like 10-7.
Yeah, that's the thing. Maybe they're going to...
I think the best one was the Falcons-Eagles, but I don't think that was a relatively exciting game. Because you have Kirk Cousins, didn't look that great. And then Jalen Hurts, who was a massive question. And, there were some play calls. You were focused on Nick Sirianni, making some horrible decisions. Vic Fangio. Like, for instance, if Kirk Cousins on the last drive, instead of them playing such bad prevent defense, if it was actually tough and there was pressure and there was a crazy tight window throw, it adds excitement. But if he's going down, 65 yards on 3 plays because, Darnell Mooney is 7 yards until the next guy, it's like, oh yeah, it's great if you're a Falcons fan because you're like, oh my God, we're moving down the field. But the excitement isn't there. Like, Chiefs-Bengals was exciting. That was a very close game with a lot of, oh my God, Joe Burrow fumbled for, Chiefs touchdown. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, the Bengals look great against this Chiefs defense. Oh, how could the Bengals get a 4-16 DPI? Yeah. That's excitement. Yeah. It just sucks that it came at the hands of the refs.
I changed my color to blue for the Lions.
Yeah. Well, you don't believe in the Lions. You don't trust the Lions because
I picked them.
Yeah, but you don't like the pick.
I'm worried about it. I've said I'm worried about it. I said I didn't like it.
Hold on. Are you worried? Which side are you worried for? The Cardinals or the Lions? Which side is the part that you don't like about it? Because for me, it's the Cardinals.
I agree that it's hard to know what the Cardinals really are. They played well last week, but they played against a very beat-up Rams team. So, but they found something.
The Bills, though,
Kyler Murray's played very well so far this year, and now he's found Harrison. And that's something new. So we'll have to wait and see. And I worry about the Lions, not so much about their players as their coach. He makes these crazy calls during the games, and he apologized for it last week. So.
There you go. But that does wrap up today's episode of the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. That's my head, Stephen Harvey. We're the hosts of the Harvey Hour. You can catch us Tuesday. We're going to be covering Week 3. There's going to be a lot of matchups to talk about. We'll break down some of the biggest games on Tuesday. But yeah, tune in 6:30 p.m. Like I said, Tuesday. We'll be here live right here on YouTube.
Night, Grandpa.
Traveling can be a nightmare. Why? You can't watch your favorite shows abroad. You can't trust public Wi-Fi spots anymore. And when you return, roaming bills kill your vibe. Unless you get a NordVPN and Saley deal. NordVPN will increase your privacy online And Saley, a global eSIM data app, will save you from those unexpected roaming charges. Grab the 2-year NordVPN deal with 76% off and get up to 20 gigabytes Saley eSIM data gift